Can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear.
Hold on one second. I'm sorry. How
Okay.
about now?
I
Okay, let me
can
turn on
hear
this
you.
camera. Okay, I'm about to put this on right now. I'm trying to see start video. Here we go. Hey, how are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Nice to meet you.
Likewise, I'm glad we finally found the time that works for both of us to sit down and have this conversation.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm ready. Rhea said a lot of good things about you, so I'm super
Good.
happy.
Let me make sure that this is recording. I'm not too Zoom savvy.
Okay,
We're
cool. Let's
all
do it.
learning this collectively, but I think it's recording. Okay. So I saw that you did a virtual performance recently on
Mm-hmm.
TV1,
Right.
and it was probably like very challenging, like you explained, without an audience to engage with. How was you like? What was the biggest challenge in that
Uh,
performance?
I'd never done it before. So
Mhm.
used to either my group members, like you, I could have looked at it as a rehearsal if it was me and the guys, or even a band. But being that we were quarantined and it's just me, I'm the sound man, I'm the DJ, I'm the artist. So I'm happy with how it turned out because what I had to learn is it was my way to flex because people don't realize the things that I've accomplished in my career and the things I've been a part of. And I never been one to want to talk about myself in that way. But it was fun to kind of be like, oh, by the way, this song, yeah, that's me too. So it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So it ended up, we had one technical difficulty, but that's what happens when you're the sound man and you're everything. But
You were
besides that, I was super happy.
good, and I like your shirt. Legalize being black.
Yeah, it was sent. It's funny because it was sent to me by a company called Mercy, and they hit me up and they were like, "We had these shirts." And to be honest, younger in the game, you get free stuff, you take it for granted. And now I understand that somebody worked hard to make this, and
Yeah.
it represents a lot. And this is somebody that's trying to be an entrepreneur, and I felt like it says something powerful, and it's a quality shirt. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wear that shirt today for my big interview. And honestly, so I'm kind of like a kid. On the first day of school, they have their clothes laid out. I
Yeah.
really had this laid out, ready to wear. Like I'm gonna wear that. We do our. I promise to goodness. So, yeah, I like it a lot.
And I like it as well. And I know that you met with the chief of police in your hometown. What was
Uh
the
huh.
conversation about, and how was it?
Well, first, I wanted to reinforce my respect for what he does. I wanted to reiterate to him that him and the criminals or whoever it is in the street have the same common goal. And he was like, well, what's that? And I was like, to get home safe to your family, regardless of whatever. A lot of this over policing is because cats is afraid. They main goal is to make it home to their family. And understanding that was an important part of our conversation. And I wanted to let him know that my biggest fear was there aren't a lot of kids right now from our community that you can go to that want to be in law enforcement, unless their family is law enforcement. So we already have these people policing our neighborhoods that aren't from there. So they do look at us as animals. They don't respect us. They don't have empathy for us. So you can't fix that if nobody in your community wants to become a police officer. So you have to find ways to show them that we're all in this together. So we came up with ideas for marketing purposes, for outreach in the community, finding ways to have these officers that are policing communities that they're not a part of to become a part of that community. Because once you're a part of it, then you do empathize. And he loved it. So I'm actually going back out there next month for a free community event outside. I'm going to perform and free. It's a big deal during quarantine.
That's a huge deal right now.
Free, but it's my community, and I've always given back silently. And a lot of people back home don't know that. So they're like, well, wow, you need to be doing this, and they have no idea of what I've really done because it ain't about me.
Right.
But I'm looking forward to going back, and I'm going to sit down with the chief again and some other people. But he did tell me that a lot of the issues in these communities aren't with the quote unquote people in charge. I think it's the same argument people make about Obama not knowing that it's really about the Senate and, the House and these different people, he can only deal with what comes across his desk.
Exactly.
Veto, sign, whatever. And people are like, he didn't do enough for,
The
no,
black community.
you thought just voting for him was what it was. No, you had to vote all these other people in, and they don't understand that. It's the same thing with the chief. It's really about they have a union. So who's the head of the union is super powerful. And
Exactly.
it's a guy that I feel is racist, named Bob Crow, and he protects a lot of the officers that are involved in a lot of these incidents.
You know, I'm young, so I can definitely agree that my peers and I aren't into politics. But thanks to social media, we now have the access and the information. Because
Right?
before it wasn't in our faces, like we thought like the main election was just the presidential election, not even knowing that that's important, but not more important than the local elections that directly impact you, your people, your community.
People
So, and
people don't understand the power of our voting and our voices, and we want to be heard now. They don't realize, no, November, and they're trying to find ways because they know that we're unifying, trying to find ways to stop the vote. I'm in Atlanta now, and they're having ways that where you go to certain places in certain communities, the ballot box is broke, the system is down. It's
mhm,
like, come on, man, you're playing like that's how Kemp won. Like systematically, they cheat. But
yeah,
the truth is, like it's an old saying that I'm sure our mother said, "What's done in the dark, you know what I'm saying."
right.
So it's starting to. So I think the good things, God always puts us through something to bring something bigger. And I think that the positive, if there's any positive that comes out of the quarantine and out of all this negativity and all these things coming to the forefront, is that we can finally see them. And because it's a quarantine, we can focus on them. Now you have less to pay attention to when it
Yep.
comes to work. So now you can really pay attention to what's going on in your community, in your state, in the country. And I think that we have some advantages now because we really have a new breed of people that just like, I don't care. We getting ours.
Period. And I love to see it. I love to be a part of it as well as a journalist. I protested a couple times, documented it, and it doesn't feel like 2013, like when the Black Lives Matter movement first
Right.
started. It feels like way more powerful now. But I'm
Well, I
excited.
think some of the people are older that were a part of that movement, and
Mhm.
they're like, you know what, we cool, we about to get it. I think that's what it's about. I think
Also,
that
the people like me, we were teens when Trayvon Martin was
that's
gunned
my
down.
point. Now,
I'm
now
adult.
you grown. Now
Yeah.
you grown. That's my point. Like, you know what? We saw this here, and I was probably a little too young to really deal with it. I mean, somebody like myself, I got a 3-year-old and a 24-year-old, right? So I have two kids, and um, I do think a lot of times we're so focused on the direction that the other person is taking, trying to
Mhm.
get to the same destination, that we don't respect their journey. I look at Kaepernick and I look at Jay-Z. I'm a fan of both. I think Jay-Z looks at it like I got to do it from the establishment, from the inside out. Kaepernick is anti-establishment. Neither one is wrong. But what we do as a people sometimes is we pit each other against each other and feel like this shouldn't happen this way. You should do it this way. It's counterproductive. We should all be worried about the destination and
Mhm.
not necessarily on individual journeys. Because if we're all trying to get to the same place, if we're trying to go the same way, none of us will make it. You have to have different. I mean, if we're attacking a kingdom, somebody got to go in the front, somebody got to come in the backside.
Yeah.
So, so
Absolutely,
yeah,
but I feel as though we also don't have leadership, no one to help us strategize. It's just,
true.
and I feel like people are afraid to rise up to be leaders because we've all seen them get assassinated.
I think some of that's it, and I think also some of it is people are so worried about social media. We're in a time now where cancel culture. Like I hate to say it like that.
Ooh,
Like even like Kanye. I was having a heated discussion with somebody because I like Kanye, and I think that he has reasons of doing things, and we always look at the negative. Like he's going to try to run for president so he can take votes away from Biden. I honestly don't think that. I honestly don't think that he really even liked Trump at all. He's like, I put that hat on to get that beautiful lady out of jail. So he's at a point in his career where you can't necessarily cancel him per se.
right.
So what
Admitted to
happens
mental
is,
health issues.
yeah, but you also have to look at, they looked at all of his previous voting, in donations. It was all Democratic.
It was.
So it's like his guy came out and said, he never even said anything. But I understand that our community is quick to throw you away. I hear people say all the time, your time was this time. Let's let the new artist or let this new. We're the only culture that doesn't necessarily embrace our history like we should until it's the funeral. Until it's the funeral. And I honestly, I wish we gave one another the benefit of the doubt. Now, I'm not saying there ain't no crazy stuff that happens. People ain't saying nothing crazy. The problem is, you have to think, I'm 43. I didn't have all of these different outlets. So a lot of times cats that's a little older get on these outlets and they do things they ain't got no business doing because they don't know how to navigate it. You know what I'm saying? And the people around them should be telling them, but they probably too big and they more worried about their job. So they let these mistakes happen. I mean, NFL, a lot of, Charles Barkley just said it's counterproductive to be putting Black Lives Matter on jerseys. I think that he didn't mean it the way he said it, but it's too late now.
But it's also important when you have a platform to articulate your words, because when you have an audience, like, we know you're not talking to us. It's the white people or the non-Black audience members that you have that will interpret what you say and take it and turn it to something else. So it's not for us. You have to speak carefully for the other people.
Yeah, but the problem is that a lot of times we try to do that and then it messes up everything. We're so worried about what others say or think that we're worried. They don't care regardless. They're going to take anything we say and turn it. So whether you say what Charles said or whatever you say, think about it. We've said the most positive. We said Black Lives Matter. We didn't say white ones didn't. And they took that and made it into.
So true. This is
we can't worry about what they think. That's the thing. We're so focused on this audience, and truthfully, the only way you end racism to me is for white people that know it's real to speak up. Like, we can speak up, that's cool. But truthfully, it's gonna take some powerful white people to go, systematically, this is true. Systematically, the redlining, the communities. I see what they're trying to do in Oklahoma City and buying it back up and trying to do another Black Wall Street. All these things, there should be some money paid. I don't want 40 acres and a mule, but there are things that need to happen. Reparations need to happen. But okay, I give you, I'm gonna keep it all the way 100. And I really don't usually have this conversation. Please. So around 2000 and I moved to Atlanta 2006 and I made millions of dollars. I mean, I'm a writer, I've written most of the hits I've been a part of. Mm-hmm. Around 2009, I was driving to, I think probably was P.F. Chang and Cheesecake, one of them, I'm hood. So, that's like fine dining, right? So on the way, I get a call from my business manager letting me know that all of my life savings was stolen. So I'm like, wait, what? It was all stolen. My accountant had taken advantage of my trust and taken everything. Like, I lost everything, which made me a better man in the end. I hustled back. But truthfully, I wasn't taught wealth management. It wasn't generational. So my daddy didn't know to say, invest in here, do this, do that. So a lot of it is ignorance passed down. Mm-hmm. I'll go home sometimes and I'll hear them talking. I'll be like, you still on that? And Lloyd, who's like a little brother to me, he told me best. He said, somebody came up to him and was like, man, you changed. He looked at him and said, man, you didn't.
Like, thank God.
But growth is something we shun. Like, when you move up, if your homeboys don't move up with you, you got brand new because you ain't on what they on. No, growth is what we should all attain. We should all want to be better and have better for, our families and our friends. And I think that that's the thing that we're afraid of most. I think we like comfort. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to generalize, but I do think that we've gotten comfortable. And what's made us uncomfortable is these situations, and that's the blessing.
Yeah, it has been, but it's been like a real tense time, So I was really appreciative of your new single, You Are, that you released on Mother's Day. We needed that vibe, especially, Black women aren't feeling appreciated during these times. It was well needed. What was the creative process behind that song?
Well, my daughter was born, and I looked at her. Having a girl, my dad used to tell me it's different. I'm telling you,
Girl dad.
and it was. My son, of course, I'm protective of him, but it's a different type of protection. And I looked at her, and I was thinking of what would I want a man that loved my daughter to say to her. My biggest fear when she was born was she's gonna want to dye her hair because she's different, because she has red hair, and I've tried to instill in her and push her to know that her uniqueness is what makes her great.
That's definitely
Being in a group, I used to feel guilty because I had all these opportunities, the Tupac, the Deborah Cox, the Best Man, these different things. And with my daughter, I realized why do we feel guilty for wanting more? Well, we should, whenever I do something by myself, it's, oh, you went solo. No, I didn't. I want it all. My daughter can come to me and say, I want to be an astronaut, singer, doctor, dad. And you know what? I'm like, we're going to figure this out.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what I wanted her to know, that you are whatever you want to be. I always tell her, like, daddy, help me. And I'll be like, no, figure it out. You can do anything. And I wanted to instill that into her and all women, mainly my sisters. But truthfully, I think that we all have this kind of false idea of beauty. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm looking at you, clear skin, no filter. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
Like, and no, I'm keeping it one. And it's crazy because on social media, it's about, the certain kind of body, the certain this, the certain that.
Yeah.
And coming up, we used to, hear from the sisters because you had a certain kind of video chick in the video. And what women didn't realize was we would come to a video shoot and we was more worried about wardrobe. You know what I'm saying? They would have a booklet of 5 or 6 girls. They all pretty much looked the same. You didn't do casting.
But they were all light skinned or racially ambiguous
right
most of the time.
Right. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. But we had no
control.
Input on that. We had, this is your 6. Which one you want?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And now that I'm older and I'm a boss in my own way, I can make decisions. I knew that when I did the visuals, I wanted it to be about anything but that.
Right.
So that was I wanted people to see there's beauty in everything.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you are a good songwriter. You have written like hits on hits, some of the soundtracks of my childhood. And I had an argument with a friend. She's a rapper. And she was I couldn't properly articulate why it is different. Like ghostwriting is different in R&B than it is for hip hop. But I would love to hear your take on it.
R&B or singing is about your voice.
Exactly.
Hip hop is about your lyrics, about being an MC. So if you are not writing your raps, you're a used car salesman. You're selling somebody else's vehicle for them, which is cool. But that's all you are. You can give the lyrics to anybody, you rap it. Now, bringing songs to life, I do always say that a lot of times we call singers artists and entertainers artists, and that's not the truth. An artist is somebody you can put in a room with a blank canvas and come back and it's a whole picture drawn. There's people that are entertainers where they don't do anything, but they can sell it, they can dress and do, you know what I'm saying? And then you have a singer who's just vocally, he raw, he might not be a writer, he might not be able to dance, you know what I'm saying? But vocally, that's all you need. They say rap artist, but you're not an artist if you're not painting the picture. But there's nothing wrong with selling something sometimes. There's people that work at car dealerships all over. They don't own a car dealership, but they'll sell you the car and they can get their bread off that too. Again, the difference is rappers are known for their lyrics, unless you're like a T.I. who's known for his lyrics, but he also got the unique voice. You have certain rappers like Pimp C that have the dope voice with the twang. But in the end, rap was always about wordplay. And if it ain't your words, why you playing? Right.
Exactly. You're just an entertainer.
A car salesman.
What was it like writing Bring Your Heart to Mine for Luther Vandross?
Scary. I know what's funny is we had did the Luther Walk of Fame. And I didn't know he knew who I was. And the night before we had to perform, my group member went out partying with Tyrese. They hanging out. Next day, he hoarse. So we on stage performing, live on BET, looking at the teleprompter. And he starts singing his part and his voice is gone. I look at him, he gives me that look like, go ahead. So I finish. So afterwards, Luther comes up to me and he goes, I see what you did. That's a true professional. And I was like, wow. But I still didn't realize he knew who I was because I'd given the record to Clive Davis for him and he had done it, but I wasn't in the studio.
Right.
And at the end of the show, when they're getting ready to roll the credits for all the artists on stage, he's talking, thanking everybody. And he grabs me and be like, and he wrote this fabulous record for me, y'all. I can't wait for y'all to hear it. I'm literally like, please don't let the show go off. Please let my mama have seen this, right? So, because my cousin's Philip Bailey for Earth, Wind, and Fire anyway. So that's my cousin. So I'm like, man, like, and then after that, it's funny because when he did the Dance with My Father album, I'm on another record just singing. It was me and Busta Rhymes on one of his records, and he requested me for that. So it was like legends. I'm, working with Ron Isley and having to demo records and sing like him on the demo. You know what I'm saying? I never realized what I had accomplished until amazing people like you would remind me, like, here's your flowers. Here you go. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because in this culture, a lot of times they want to remind you of what you haven't accomplished. You have no idea how many times people have tried to bring me back down after somebody online that's maybe say, you a legend or you're this. Like, people have been like, legend, they had one. And then the hard part from my group is we exceeded the urban market and we went pop per se. Mm-hmm. So my core audience doesn't necessarily realize the magnitude of what we accomplished. Exactly. So it's not my place to say. We just go do performances and open up for acts that we feel like we shouldn't be opening up for. But what we do is we go, let's kill them. So then I add all the records I wrote for or we have so much fun. We'll be like, oh, they got us going on before. Perfect. Okay. Open up with this. Let's hit them with this Jaheim. Matter of fact, let's hit them with Ideal. Whatever you want to do. You know what? Let's do this. We start it's almost like a cheat sheet. So it makes it fun for us. And I think that that's what being an artist really is about. Where you can go, you know what? I'm going to flip it and I'm going to do this. Even like a rapper, you talked about your homie. It's about, okay, I'm going to change these lyrics and I'm going to go here. Mm-hmm. You're not doing that because you ain't writing.
Exactly. And I feel like the average consumer just doesn't realize like the marketing side or like certain things of the music business. So they won't realize how big it was for an urban group to cross over to pop because it wasn't happening as often as it is now. It's common now, but before you really had to put in that work.
Yeah, because well now if you listen to radio, it's us and somebody emulating us. Back Absolutely. When we were out, it was 98 Degrees, NSYNC, Backstreet, and we were having to compete with real pop records.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I feel like the Verzuz battle is allowing a lot of like behind the scenes veterans to get their flowers that people may overlook, like the John to Austins and we don't realize the contributions True. They made to the culture because it's not on the front street. They're not like the art, like the superstar, the rapper, entertainer.
I agree.
There. So if you were to do a Verzuz battle, who would you like to go against?
People have asked me, I wouldn't want to do one. There's only 2 ways I would do it. If I was, number one, I think it's subjective. Again, our records went somewhere else. If I asked you right now, out of all the groups from my genre and my era, if I asked the average consumer, we're not one of their favorite groups. We're not one of the first 2 or 3 groups they think of, which is cool.
But they would think of that, why you always lying?
But look, that ain't even my point. My point is you tell me, out of all these groups, if you turn on the radio right now, 9 times out of 10, whose song you gonna hear?
Probably
you go to a barbecue
or a little one.
No, not at all. You're gonna hear Wifey Too Close. You're gonna hear one of those. It's easy.
Yeah, that's warm up.
Yeah, but if I'm talking about on radio, if you look at the most recurrent playlist, because since I wrote them, I get the ASCAP and all that. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying that I'll keep that to myself. And that's nothing against, because my favorite group was 112. I'm not saying that to say that anything was any better or any worse. We just didn't have the advantage of having a Puff or a Jermaine. We didn't have features per se. But I say that to say, we hold on to our little island to say that right now, if you turn on the radio, and 9 times out of 10, if you hear one of the groups, it's going to be us. It's going to be Too Close or Wifey. Anywhere in the world, you're going to hear one of those records. So for us, that was our main thing. But if I was going to do a versus, my thing was I want to do new music. That's number one. If it's not new music, and we singing hits, let's do it live. Give me a microphone.
Okay.
And let's do it live. Let's see if you sound like the record.
I haven't. Maybe because they did a songwriting battle. Would you be open to that? A songwriting battle? Neo and John to Austin did that to see who penned the biggest hits. Like, is that something you'd be open to?
Only reason I say no is because we say Black Twitter, right? That's what it's called, right? So what happens if my records were bigger pop records? My audience, that's not fair. That's not my audience. So you got to think. So I of course I play the Jaheim, the Luther, the Genuine, these different records I've written, and that's cool. I don't put myself on a level of them, but I do that as a way to fuel myself because I want more. Do I think I'm as good as my mama told me nobody better than her baby, but I do attain to have some of the other successes that my counterparts have had because I'm a fan of all of them. Jagged, the twins sound like two Charlie Wilsons, like they're incredible. I wish 112 would get back together because they were all like vocal beasts and they were like the R&B commission to me. But I felt like as far as a trio and what we did, I felt like we ran the clubs, no features. And then we would come back and give you the little freaky slow joints. And we was cool with that. But my core audience doesn't, again, understand the impact of some of the records that we've done. So I already know. And I remember when we were talking about Jagged and 112, I felt like 112 would win. And people were like, no, because Atlanta is a jagged city. They are the favorite sons, which I understand. But I just felt like 112 just had more, a bigger array of records, up-tempos, mids, slow, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it was just different. So I felt like they had that advantage. And then when it played out, besides the technical difficulties, it played out the way I thought it was. So there were certain people that were like, no, Jack's going to kill. I didn't think either one killed either one, but I do think that the 12 got that one off.
Yeah, I couldn't really focus too much because me and my friends, we were like chilling and the audio quality was just too distracting, but I had my bets on 112 as well. And I love both. I love R&B, period.
Right.
So
they've been trying to get us to be like, what about Drew Hill or RL Levana? And for me, I just want to celebrate music. If we just celebrate, if it was like Jill and Erica, just straight peace and incense and black lights and all, let's go. Listen, that was so beautiful and sexy. That's a vibe. That's different.
You gotta set it up though. You gotta set up the vibe, but it's all celebration.
I don't think it's gonna happen anymore because the viewership, like a lot of artists, especially R&B from my era, they don't have a big social media following because they're so busy in the studio. I mean, exactly. So if you look at the numbers for a lot of those battles, it really wasn't as high as the previous ones that were for other artists. So it wasn't, I don't think they're going to do a lot more.
It's also
sadly.
Economies are reopening and people are just not quarantining anymore. True. That's also.
But back when the 12 of them did it, they were, you know what I mean? And I think they had like 220,000 viewers or something. And I got that on my page, and I don't mean that as any diss to them. I'm saying that it should have been way higher.
And they're legends. It should have been. So I understand what you're saying. So I guess we'll just probably settle for a virtual show solo.
Yeah, let me know. We got to do that again. I'll do that, or we go through the hits back and forth. Kind of like Swiss and Alicia and John did. That would be dope.
That would be dope. You also penned Just in Case, and that song was like the song. Did you expect for it to be that big?
Yeah, because it's one of my dad's favorite records. It was originally a slow song, and I double timed it, and it was gonna be for me, but Jaheim, we all came up together sleeping at the back house on mattresses, air mattresses, KG from Naughty by Nature, who discovered us. And I've always had a soft spot for Ja because I know he comes from a tough background. And we were like brothers. And he would call me and ask me for a record. I gave him Just in Case, I gave him Anything, and I gave him Remarkable for the first album. And I wanted those records, but he asked, and he could probably get anything musically from me because I've always had so much respect for his struggle and how hard it was for him to get to where he is today.
Are you guys still in touch?
You know, it hurt me for a long time that no one knew I had done all these amazing records for different artists because it wasn't my job to promote myself. I'm in a group, so we were always taught it's about the group, let it be about the group. So I
Yeah,
always expected the artists that I felt like I blessed with these records to bless me. You know,
absolutely.
say my name to let them know, you know what I'm saying, your boy looked
Like
out.
Lisa did for you on the stage that time.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Well, it literally maybe 6, 7 years ago, he posted a tweet and he was like, yo, you need to go to RL. It'll take him like 15, 20 minutes to write it. He's so cold. First time now. I remember this like 15 years after the record that came out, 12, well, 13. And I was like, I almost cried. Like, I was like, dang, I finally got props. I had never heard him perform it live in person. I remember the first record that I had done for somebody that I heard live was actually Forecast by Jamie Foxx. And I had gotten tickets to his concert at the Fox, and he didn't even know I was there. And I'm in the audience, and he was when he was doing the Ray, and he's playing. All of a sudden, the piano comes out. He starts playing Forecast. Let me feel the raindrops falling down all over my love. I want it soaking wet all over the bed. And I was just like, oh, and I started singing loud as hell, right? And all of a sudden, he's like, shh. He like mad, like, let me sing my song. And then he looked and saw me and broke the band down. I still get goosebumps. And he was like, y'all, that's RL. He wrote this record for me.
You
It was the
imitated him so accurately.
it was the very first time I ever had gotten props like that. And I was literally like, and it was one of the best moments of my life. I mean, because people don't do that. People don't talk about what you've done for them.
Thank
So
God.
yeah, with Ja, I was also surprised that I didn't work on the second album, you know, being that I'd written his most successful records. But that's a management issue. It had nothing to do with us personally. I didn't get to make it to KG's father's funeral. Um, I was working, but Ja was there, one of my group members, and they chopped it up. But he's always family. You know, if I'm anywhere near him or he's near me, we hang it.
That's good to hear. So, what are your thoughts on the current state of R&B right now? Because everyone has their opinion. My personal opinion is I feel like artists, the singers need to get a little bit more vulnerable and rappers should leave R&B alone. What do you think?
Well, I think rappers are so influenced by R&B, things are starting to lines are starting to blur,
Too
which just
much.
means you. Well, it's hard to say because if you're creative and you love all these different genres, we're saying don't limit yourself. You know what I mean? Like I told you, I told my daughter you can do anything. So there's
True.
certain cats that grew up like I had a record deal for rapping first. I was a rapper first. So if I came out in this
Really? That's
climate,
news to me.
so if I came out in this climate, I would have it might have been advantageous for me now, but I had to pick a side. I think there's a lot of great R&B. PJ, I love Tiffany Goucher. I love Lucky Day. I just think
I
that
love PJ.
but we categorize it now as neo soul or something other than what it is.
Yeah.
I think there's so many avenues and so many lanes for just great artistry. The only problem I have is that artists like myself from my era, we don't have an avenue to get our music to our core consumer because streaming isn't necessarily their thing. There isn't record stores anymore. You know, every Tuesday, which it used to be Tuesdays before it was Friday, new
Or
music will come
Beyonce.
out,
Yeah.
right? So it things changed and we're still just trying to find ways because I know Jagged, 112, Trio, they all put out amazing projects that
Absolutely.
no one heard because there was no way to promote it because our old marketing strategies don't work anymore. We have to learn this social media thing. So that's the only thing I'm worried about. As far as music, listen, music, it evolves and it revolves. No one's recreating the wheel. You know what I'm saying? We're just waiting for our moment again. I think that as long as you keep your head down and keep trying to perfect your craft, which no one ever can, you can still find success.
Right. And so what's next for RL? Before we head up out of here, I would like to know what's next for you. What are you working on?
Well, of course, I got first we're working on my nephew Tylen. He did the Feel This Way record. We got Ronnie DeVoe on the joint, and we flipped this New Edition thing because his mother was a New Edition fan, and they went to 33 on the charts. I'm working on my free EP that I'm about to drop. It's 4 free songs. It's called The Letter J. We're shooting videos for each record. It's called The Letter J because I sampled 2 Jodeci records, Jon B, and a Janet Jackson record.
Oh,
So
I want to get married already.
it's 4 songs. I have an Afro Beats album I'm dropping in Africa. We're doing we're actually getting ready to shoot the video for the Next by Nature project, which is going to be probably 4 or 5 songs, which is next to Naughty by Nature because that's who discovered us. Wow. So we got that. And lastly, I'm still working on the album. I'm like 80 records in. It's called The Procession. So I'm just having fun.
You did 80 records in?
80. Uh-huh. I did 70. Honestly, no cap. Not cap.
I feel you down. No cap.
No cap. We did 70 for the new next album that's never coming out. It's done. It's never going to come out. I wasn't going to do any new music with the group. We were just going to use it as a tour mechanism. But when KG, who's the big bro who discovered us, called and said he wanted to do this next to Naughty by Nature project, it was, whatever you want to do, big bro. Okay. But besides that, I don't foresee us releasing any new music. And we have like 70 new records, most of them mixed, ready to go. But wow. Tweet wants to do hip hop a little more. He's always struggled with finding the balance of what he really wanted to do, what makes him happy. And now he's at a place of peace and he wants to just do what makes him happy. So we was like, I'm glad you're telling us now before we put this project out and try to really push something, to know that right now your space is somewhere else. It might come back and he wants to do it and we'll revisit it maybe, but right now we just doing our separate things and we come together on the road, go get a bag, come home and, live life.
Yeah, sounds like a good old time. Well, I think this is gonna cut off soon. It's like 40 minutes tops and we're at 37. Okay. So we did perfect. I enjoyed this.
Thank you. No, listen, I want to tell you, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to little old me. I honestly am honored.
You are so modest. It is not little old you. You wrote for Luther Vandross, okay?
Yeah, but what's most important is this moment right now. If you walk around my house, you wouldn't know that an artist live here. Like my wife put up plaques in one place because she wanted them there. But I don't live in the past per se. I love and I'm blessed. I love what I've been able to accomplish. But right now, the most important thing I'm doing is talking to you. And I want to thank you for letting me use your platform. Rhea said you were going to be great, and I'm just honored. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. I love Rhea. Well, thank you so much. I will be looking out for the Next by Naughty project, the Afro Beats project, and the Letter J project.
Thank you.
Keep me in the loop.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
You too.